It's going to be a great session. Now that it's summer, it's so nice to get out and enjoy the nice weather over the Christmas break. This is a time that we want to celebrate the positives towards Christmas when we get to relax, even though we've had a lot of challenges this year. Hopefully your club's meeting for a Christmas meeting, as mine is in a couple of weeks, just so you can celebrate with your fellow club members. We've got two amazing speakers today, the two district leaders from our district, and then we'll have a Q&A session at the end. Please, as Danielle had just mentioned, please add your questions to the chat and then we'll call on you later in the Q&A session. Now, without further ado, can I please welcome our immediate past district director, Sue Pederick, to tell us about the communication chain and succession planning and how it is important. Please welcome Sue Pederick.
Thank you, Heath, and it's a pleasure to be on board today. I was just doing some final edits of my wonderful presentation. So let's start with sharing this screen. Okay, so how important is it to have a successful communication chain and have successful planning? It is extremely important to all of us. So what do we really need to know and how does it relate to you? Who does it involve? Is it my business? Because some people go, does it really relate to them, or is it someone else's business? And do I really need to know all that information? Well, sometimes you do. Some people cross the line and they think they've delved into things and really done important aspects of their role and gone above and beyond, and that's great in many ways, but sometimes roles are meant to be shared or information is meant to be shared by different people. And sometimes the district has information they want to release, but they want to release at an appropriate time because a lot of information might be coming out at the same time. So sometimes there's delays with getting information, even though it might be announced, it might need to be delayed because there is other information that is pertinent to meeting the deadline, because there are many deadlines in Toastmasters that we do need to follow. So sometimes be aware that even though you might have the information, someone else might have the information, but there might be little things happening behind the scenes that it's very important that need to be dealt with before the information is shared. So there are certain people that share different roles or different information at different times. So whether it's the members, the club, the areas, division, districts, regions, board of directors and world headquarters. So everyone has their little piece of information that they need to share. And it's important for you to respect those that do have that information that they want to share out to different people at different times. So be aware that there are certain things that need to be shared by certain people. And it doesn't stop you looking up the information, and it doesn't stop asking about the information. So please still ask, and please direct that information back to the person that's almost responsible for it. We're all responsible for our own learning, but we're also responsible to find the information from the person who's holding the key at that time. So be aware of that as well. So one thing that I've noticed with a lot of Toastmasters is when you look at the membership list, many have not opted in for receiving information such as email or mail. The third party one is not necessarily important, but the phone is important to your district leaders being able to contact you last minute, particularly in regard to contests. Also, your name on public reports. So if you in particular want to have a your name against your award. So say you're becoming a distinguished Toastmaster, we might not know who that is. So if you want to be recognised, it's good to actually allow your names to go up on those reports as well. And those reports and that privacy and consent and opting in and opting out for things is found when you register under your normal login. So just go to your normal login to privacy and consents, and that's where you find all those options to opt in or opt out. I think I've got Richard Wilkie drawing on my screen. That's interesting. Thank you, Richard. I don't know how to remove that. So, okay, so we also have communication resources. Now, these resources are found a little bit hidden away. So this is a communication that comes out to all members, to club officers and to district leaders. And that regularly comes out under the Learn More section. So if you can see Learn More at the top of the page under Responding to Coronavirus, that's on the home page. And when you go down to Communications, that's where anything that goes out to all members is listed there. Anything that goes to club officers and anything that goes to district leaders is also listed there. So you can dive in and find that information yourself. You don't have to wait for someone else to hand it to you. You can find it out ahead of time, particularly before an announcement might be made or just out of curiosity. So because it's all kept together, you can find those resources when you need them. So when I hear, I don't know what's happening, no one told me, I feel like saying, what are you doing? You can be proactive and you can find out that information yourself. So at clubs, attend club meetings, announcements are by clubs and executive officers, and that club leadership handbook is really vital. And at district level, attend district events. The District 73 calendar and website is incredible. It has so many resources on it, and there's communication going out all round. If you're wanting to know something in particular, the Toastmasters International FAQs, or frequently asked questions, are at the base of every Toastmasters International page. And it's just sitting down the corner on the left-hand side on that screen grab I've put up, where you can find lots of information and communication in regard to your role or many questions that you might have. So communication, you just need to ask someone, be curious, investigate yourself, be responsible and take control of your own communication chain. At club, district or through TI, you can switch on to many of the platforms on offer. So many opportunities waiting for you, so please engage. Succession planning. This is the next thing, very important as well. It's extremely important. Again, service to members. This is where you find the roles and all of the ways that you can engage with having a meeting to help contribute to those roles as well. So when does it all happen? The club elections are held at the club meeting, and the club meetings are in May every year, and they're in the first meeting. If you fall into the second meeting in May, you fall into the chance of crossing over with lots of other things that are happening. So if you can get that out of the way, first meeting in May, that's a really good month or couple of months for the incoming executive to take over from the old executive and have a really good handover. So 2 weeks before that meeting happens in May, you need to let people know who've stepped up to those roles. And people can stand up from the floor and it will be voted on by a secret ballot. And that secret ballot doesn't have to be secret as long as everyone in that room agrees it to be an unsecret ballot when you're voting. Because sometimes at club level, you do have really close relationships that can take offence from someone voting someone else in. So if you keep it all by secret ballot, no one gets offended and then you can move on. So as much as everyone might say they're quite happy with someone else knowing who's voting for who, it can hold a little bit of trouble sometimes in the future. So just if you can keep it secret, that's great. Then we move on to the district roles. So the district elections are held at the district council meeting in May, and the roles are called for. They'll be called for this week. Vicki sent me some more information just in this last week that I'm just checking through before I release that information to step up to those roles. So I'll just make sure I haven't missed anything before I put that announcement out, because I'm the district leadership committee chair for helping to gather all the people for those roles. So the roles, the election for those, or the nominations you'll put forward, they close February 2021, and all elected roles will be interviewed and be endorsed by the district leadership committee if they're suitable. And that will happen 6 weeks prior to the district council meeting, and the district candidates will then be announced. So those are those elected roles, and they're listed below. But there are also appointed roles, and they're appointed by the incoming district director. So don't get confused which you are nominating for as appointed and which you are nominating for as elected. We'll certainly gather anyone who's interested in applying for the public relations manager role, the finance manager or admin manager, but the ones that are actually involved with the election is only the ones that are listed in that list of district director, program quality and club growth, with the links as well that go with that. So area directors, where does that come into things? Succession planning is really important for the area because they're the conduit to from the clubs through to the district. And those area director reports are vital for someone having a look in and seeing where help is needed, because without that support from the district, from the area director into the clubs that feeds back to the district, without that, often we don't know what's going on at club level. And that's also where you find the succession of potential leaders stepping up into future roles. So it's really good to know who they are. So it's a mixture of elected or appointed. So elections have to be held by the district council meeting, and there are certain people that attend those, as stated in my my slide earlier on. So that is held up to 2 weeks prior to the district council meeting. After that time, the incoming district director, as mentioned here, can appoint. So what is really important is if those roles aren't filled, the area directors can't step in from the beginning and help the clubs, give them some guidance, have the training they need to even fulfill the role. And it means that as the year goes on, you've got contests, you've got lots of things and lots of information that needs to go back to the clubs, and it's missing from that conduit that goes back in. So please try and find an area director to step up. If you're a current area director, look for your successor to step into that role. I'm looking for my timer. Who's my timer today? There, Heath, terrific. Excellent. So, are there other roles? There are many other roles. Yes, yes, yes. Extremely important. It takes a huge village to run a district. So additional roles are appointed by the incoming district director, and sometimes you need certain skill sets to fulfill those roles, such as the alignment chair, the district leadership committee, the audit committee, but there are so many others. So particularly to do with finance, you definitely need additional support. So planning for the future. It's discussed at club level for the club success plan. So you're already looking ahead when you're working on the club success plan. At the district level, you're talking about who are the district future leaders and how you're planning for things. And the area director reports all comment on who are potential leaders. So there are certainly so many ways that you're looking at the succession of the future of your roles at club level, area level, district level. They're always talked about. They're always really in the forefront of who should be stepping in after you, because all of the roles are only held for a year. Keep in mind all of the district mission statements. You've got club mission, you've got district mission, and you've got the core values of Toastmasters International. And there's a new one that isn't often known by many people, and that's the Toastmasters International Envisioned Future. So the envisioned future is to be the first choice provider of dynamic, high value, experimental communication and leadership skills development. So keep in mind all of that as you move forward. Succession planning is an integral part of any Toastmasters team. Step up, you won't regret the skills, the capabilities, and the growth you will achieve during your time. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Sue. It's definitely two important topics that you touched on today. Succession planning is something that obviously we all go through in all of our different roles. We're always thinking ahead, trying to think about what's next and how we can hand over them to ensure a smooth transition. Next, we've got another amazing district leader. We've got our very own club growth director, Namrita Anchan, and she's going to tell us about turning the ship around. So with turning the ship around, please welcome Namrita Anchan.
Thank you so much, Heath. Good afternoon, fellow Toastmasters and all the district members. Hope everyone's having a good Sunday. It's nice and bright and sunny outside, and it's windy too here in Melbourne. And I'm hoping the weather is not too bad in our other states, South Australia and Tasmania. So what I'll do, I'll quickly share my screen. I have a mini presentation for you all, and something in continuation with what Sue did just share with us. Is my screen visible to everyone? Yeah, awesome. So today in our Leader Speak forum, I thought of touching on 2 points. One is something on a very specific leadership approach and how it has helped me in my personal leadership style, and still helps me in my day-to-day leadership approach. And the second bit would be an update on the Area Director Club Visit Report that we all are so fond of. So let's talk about the first thing, the leadership approach. I was listening to a book recently and came across this ebook called Turn the Ship Around. A true story of turning followers into leaders. The title of the book itself, it enticed me. So according to the book, there are 2 types of leadership approach. One is the leader to leader approach. And second is the leader follower approach. Now, the moment I heard that, I knew which approach have I taken to naturally and could relate to personally. And I thought, since it works wonderfully for me, why not share it with everyone within our district and the Toastmasters community, since we are so focused towards leadership as a group, as a whole group. So here's the approach that I'm inclined towards, and that's the leader approach. Now, this approach helps you support other people become leaders and allows you to give them the power to make things happen. Now, if we think deeply, this is tied up very closely with being an empathetic leader. Let me tell you how. For example, say you are leader A and you have a team member. Let's call the person leader B. just by me calling the team member leader B has invoked a sense of responsibility within the team member. Now, following the path of leader to leader approach while working on a project per se, I wouldn't be approaching my team members as a rank below me, but will approach them as my colleagues. Now, this is a mind shift control. It is not something that you pretend, no. You have to believe in this approach genuinely, or else one cannot go ahead with it. Reason being, let me put it in this way, people are smart. So the first step of you wanting to adapt the leader approach, you have to believe that you are not above anyone. You are one of them. We are one of all. And here's how it works for me. I think from a very human level, you are human, I'm human, we all are equals. As simple as that. And as simple as that, this approach is. Once you set this thinking in motion, it becomes very easy to look at everyone with the same lens. It becomes very easy approaching people, requesting things rather than ordering them around. It becomes easy listening carefully, understanding their issues and challenges from their point of view and situation, and then arriving on a decision, personal or business. And finally, it becomes easy empathizing with other person's situation. So my earlier point being made, adapting to a leader approach is very closely tied with being an empathizing leader. And now, since we are on the topic, I would love to touch on a small point that does come up in people's mind usually, and which is, to be honest, a myth. That is that being empathetic is seen as a weakness sometimes. And here's what I believe, and so most of the amazing leaders in today's world, that being empathetic is being the strongest leader in the crowd. Reason being, being empathetic takes way more effort and energy than just ordering around. Being empathetic requires a lot more emotional intelligence and forward thinking than just being close-minded and being confined to your own set of rules. And maybe, being empathetic requires inner strength as a human being. So I thought I would share this few thing about the leader approach as well, that, how this leadership works and how it contributes to these qualities of, shared responsibility, continuous feedback, collaboration, being interactive, and how it all leads to success. So 3 takeaways for you as to what the leader approach is. This approach gives your team members the capacity to act as leaders in their specific spaces. Second, in a leader framework, dynamic power is equally dispersed all through the levels of leadership. And third, this approach ensures productivity and a sense of fulfillment in any work environment. To stand by what I just shared with you, I would like to share something I read through in an article that said 61% of emerging leaders in the World Economic Forum's global leaders and global shapers say that business models should only be pursued if they generate profitable growth and improve societal outcomes at the same time. Also continuing on the same, Alan Shu, Chief Leadership and Human Resources Officer of Accenture, said that organizations have the opportunity and the obligation to drive growth in tandem with positive social and environmental outcomes. So this starts with redefining what it means to lead responsibly. And a generation is leading the way, focused on driving value while honoring values. I would like to repeat the last bit, focused on driving value while honoring values. And that's what this leader-to-leader approach is all about. So in conclusion, following the leader-to-leader approach is definitely something worth considering. And since we are in Toastmasters, even though our personal Toastmastering goals might differ, but in some capacity or the other, we are nothing but leaders that are rooting for a better world and helping our fellow Toastmasters improve every day and help them achieve their goals. So hope this was helpful in terms of your leadership approach, in any profession for that matter, and probably hasn't invoked a thought process that might help you lead better. Now, before we wrap up, I thought I did touch point on our area director reports, favorite reports of all times. First of all, a massive thank you to all who contributed in visiting their respective clubs and submitting the reports before submission date of 30th of November. I know how much of an effort it is to do these things and how much of a time investment it is. So thank you for all your efforts. It is highly appreciated by the district. We were able to achieve 96.4% of completion rate of our area director club visit reports. A special mention to the Metro Division for submitting 100% of their reports. Fabulous effort there. Well done, Metro Division. See, these are times of distress, and we are in the year of pandemic and COVID crisis. Achieving this feat with all that's going around in our world, I would like to congratulate each one of you for the fabulous job you all have done. And a big round of applause to all of us for standing the storm no matter what. So with this, I would like to wrap up with my talk with my fellow leaders listening to me out over there. Thank you so much and have a wonderful day. Over to you, Danielle.
Thank you so much, Namrita. It's such an inspiring speech. So I liked a couple of things I really liked about it was that empathy requires inner strength. That was a really nice quote I had there, and that you get a sense of fulfillment. So I really like those two little bits as well. So that brings us to the end of the speaking session. So I hope you've been putting any questions in the chat. Now I'll hand over to Danielle to take us through the Q&A session, so you can ask any of our district leaders. Thank you, Danielle.
Thank you so much, Heath, and thank you both Sue and Namrita for your inspiring talks. At the moment, we don't have any questions in the chat. If you'd like to put a private question, feel free to just message me. But if you'd like to ask a question, just raise your hand either with the reactions or physically, and I will call on you. So the first person that's raised their hand is Dick Wilkie. So Dick, over to you.
I'm interested in the partnership between Rotary and the Toastmasters organisation, and I'm wanting to know, as anyone can advise me of some ways in which to become proactive in that. I've volunteered to assist Rotary with a program next year for secondary school students who have been involved in the past in competitions between each school and monitored by Rotary. But Rotary has a different approach to what we call evaluation. They give it another name, and I have yet to learn about that subtle difference, and therefore I'm going to pursue that next year. But I want to know how to be more proactive from the Toastmasters point of view.
Thank you very much, Dick. I might hand that over to Sue, and we'll get Sue to respond to that question. So you'll have to unmute first.
I was looking up some information for you, Dick, while I was listening to you. So Rotary connection is up to the members to make that connection with the Rotary members. There is a opportunity of looking at the district Toastmasters International website, not the district website, because there's information that they're sharing in regard to how you approach the Rotary clubs and how you liaise with them. I'm going to put those links in the chat box as soon as I get off this discussion, but it certainly is your opportunity to deal directly with the club. So, Richard, what did you want to know specifically in regard to Rotary clubs?
Well, what I've done, I've been involved in a Rotary project at the Seahome Primary School,
Yes.
where
yep.
we used to do grade 5 and grade 6 youth leadership courses.
Yes.
And because of the pandemic, that wasn't able to be pursued. But I'm hoping that 2021 will open up those avenues again. But I've been approached by Rotary, or our club's been approached by Rotary to support their what they call Win Speak. It's about the secondary schools competitions each year. And I want to liaise with them regarding what I mentioned before about their assessment of the students' performance. That's basically what I'm after.
So that's done in-house, and also I've got here from Anne Hancock. Bree, she's also, they've said that they've got some information and they've talked to the person concerned. But who I'd like to throw to is Karl Hughes. Karl Hughes has been into a Rotary club and had a bit of a discussion with a Rotary club in this last year. So Karl, did you want to share your insight into that? And I'll find those links that are directly related to Toastmasters that I'll put in the chat box.
Sure, I can do that. So at a very high level, if we look high level globally, Toastmasters, excuse me, and Rotary have been discussing and coming together about what they can offer each other. Now, from the Toastmasters perspective, which is of interest to us, we obviously do communication and leadership. And the discussion has been that Toastmasters are working with Rotary to provide training to them for their leaders around communication and leadership. But now it's spread out further down to more grassroots, to the districts and to the areas and to the clubs. And basically that's where I've got involved. So as we all know, Toastmasters International and our clubs and what we provide is a great service. We have members joining all the time, new people joining because they see the value in what we do. Well, so does Rotary, and Rotary members are just like us. They also need leadership training and public speaking and communication training. Now, I've been asked and been involved, like we have club officer training and district officer training, so does Rotary. And I was asked to go in and do some training for them at a district level to their leaders. Now, that was something that allowed Toastmasters, myself, and actually somebody else in Toastmasters to go in and do this training at their district level. But also, I was then asked to go in and do some training to an individual club because they were interested in that. So what I did, I promoted while I was there about the benefits of Toastmasters, and going into your local club, I showed them where all the information was on Toastmasters International, where they can find their local clubs, to go in as a guest and see if it's for you and to join up if you're interested. Now, I know that we also have Anne, who's been out virtually. This is now, we've been doing this virtually, to speak to a Rotary club as well. So it really comes down to being proactive at the club level, finding where local clubs are for the Rotary clubs and going to speak to them. And as you've said, Richard, regarding the differences in evaluations for what they do, well, that's a chance to share information and inform about the way we do it. they may find that interesting and say, oh, wow, that there's some good techniques that you're doing there. We might want to incorporate that into what we're doing. So it's been proactive from our point of view to go out and talk to Rotary as much as possible to start getting them involved, because there could be potential members there to help grow our clubs. And I don't know if Anne wants to add to that, and if Sue wants to add that. I think somebody mentioned about they wanted to add another point.
Yeah, so Quan would like to add a quick point, and then we might take this question further offline if we haven't managed to answer Dick's questions, so that we can move on to some other questions as well. So Quan.
Yes, this is another question, another point, because I just saw the news. So in Victoria, the mask rules have been relaxed. So if you're an indoor setting, if you're meeting in the club in person, you don't have to wear a mask anymore. So mask is only required if you are going to retail setting or if you're in a taxi or ride share. So this is a great incentive for clubs to meet in person in Victoria. So that's all from me. Thank you.
Thank you, Quan, for that piece of information. And in fact, we were talking, Namrita.
Just adding on what Karl was talking about, and to answer your question, we definitely would love to go ahead with liaising with Rotary Club very actively in 2021. This topic has come up in a lot of other CGT peer calls, and other districts are already working towards building in relationship with Rotary clubs, and then having those combined Toastmasters and Rotary, and how it works basically. So I think so if you are really inclined towards doing that, get in touch with us, with the district leaders, myself, Karl, Vicki, and we can definitely take it forward and work out a plan around it.
Thank you very much, Namrita. So Dick, we've got a whole group of people that are here to support you and answer further questions that you have. Do we have any other questions from our leaders? Yes, we have a question from Nick.
Before Nick goes, I've just put quite a few things in the chat box regarding the Rotary Alliance, if anyone wants that information as well.
Thank you, sir. Nick.
Right. Namrita, just a minor point, Central District also had 100% area.
My apologies. Central District as a,
there was no mean feat, because we had a district council meeting on Monday night, and I had one director, I said, you've only got one more report to do, and if we do that, we get 100%. Promise me you'll get this done. And he did. That was good. My question is really to Sue and a bit to Heath, I suppose, is that in Sue's presentation, there's lots of dates and lots of things that need to be done at certain points. I just wondered whether or not there's an operational plan that actually sets that out in a single document that people can pick up and determine as to what actions need to be done, when they need to be done by, or when they're actually going to occur, and who has to actually do it. So at least then it becomes a simple process. And the follow-up sort of or related question is related to club officer training, is that I'm very keen to get all our club officers to actually attend some training. And now they have no excuse for not attending, because they've got 8 sessions available in the comfort of their own home. There's no excuse for them to say, I couldn't make it on that day, right? Because they've got 8 opportunities. So for that reason, I sent an email out to all our club officers in our division and said, there's a club officer training at Bass. Here's the link. And I made it even easier, because I put a nice little link, a little box, and then all I had to do was click on it, and it took them to the registration. And we had 6 people attending, which was good. But I just wondered whether or not there's rather than in events calendar, if there's actually going to be just one in relation to COT that actually then shows all of the COT ones in one spot, rather than sort of buried in amongst all the other events that sit on the calendar.
Thank you, Nick. There are a few questions in there. So first of all, hand over to Heath about what's on the website.
I missed the first question. Could you please clarify the first question?
The first question was like an operational plan, which has a list of all the things that we have to do. So things like you need to have an area director council meeting. You need to vote on people.
For that question, we'll hand over to Vicki, our district director, and then we'll go back to Heath about the question about stuff on the website. Please welcome Vicki.
Thank you. If you look on the district leadership handbook, you'll find all those dates. And I can't tell you what page it's on, but just go there and it gives you specific tasks and dates when they need to be done by and who's got to do them.
And Sue has something to add as well. So
Yeah,
Sue?
and every person has a different shape. So a different shape and a different colour that relates to the timeline that's in the district leader handbook or the club leader handbook. So there's a triangle for certain people, there's a star for others, and it shows you in the timeline exactly when things need to be done and exactly when things are when the deadlines are, and who's responsible for it. So they're all done in the timeline.
Thank you, Vicki and Sue. So now over to Heath about the question about club officer training and whether we can have the information in one spot, not just in the main district calendar.
Yeah, we can definitely do that. We don't have it on the to-do list at the moment, but I can definitely add it. Yep.
Excellent. We have time for one more question. So who is the lucky person that would like to ask one more question? Please raise your hand. If we have no more questions, Karl has a question. Please welcome Karl.
I was waiting to everybody else. I'd go last then if no one else. I have a tough question for Namrita. As a fellow leader, I'm going to give her a curveball here. Your leader to leader, thanks for that presentation. That was great. Your leader to leader concept here, that particular model. What happens if the other person, the leader, does not have the skill sets required for you to be able to talk on a one-on-one basis, or if they're not performing like they should be performing in some way? So there's a bit of an issue there. So there's two different reasons, but then suddenly you're not talking on a one-to-one basis. How do you handle that from this concept that you've put forward today?
Thanks for the question, Karl. I'll hand over to Namrita, just letting you know we have about 2 minutes to go.
Sure. I'll keep it nice and short here. Thank you for the question, Karl. I would like to put it this way, that there are two approaches, and definitely because of the time constraint, I couldn't go through with that. So there's this leader and then leader followers. Now, when I say that, we should give everyone the opportunity to be the leader along with us, be on the same level, not necessarily everyone is going to even want to be the leader, or as you said, would have the skills to be leader. So in that case, I think so that's where we have to step in as being the primary leader and support as much as possible. That's what I would do. And also there are times when someone just doesn't want to be a leader, they are more of a follower, and that's what gives them satisfaction. So in that case as well, I think so, just being a part of the team, yes, you give them as much support as possible, but yeah, not force them to be something they're not. So I think so, yeah, that's a short answer.
Thank you so much, Namrita, and I will hand back to Heath, our Toastmaster.
So thank you, Danielle, and thank you everyone for coming along today. It's been a great session. We've definitely learned a lot. I'd like to help everyone who helped out. So Danielle, Namrita for doing all the organisation. So thank you everyone, and of course our speakers, Sue and Namrita. So I'd definitely like you to put your learnings into action from what you've learned today. For example, it could be updating your communication preferences, could be searching for a successor, or trying to adjust your leadership style to empower your team to be leaders themselves. So there's plenty of things you can do. I'd like you to put those into action somehow. So please, with that all said and done, please relax and enjoy your well-deserved Christmas break. We'll see you for the next monthly town hall on Sunday, the 3rd of January. Same time and same place. So stay safe and take care. Thank you.